So the big news last night and today was that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis launched his campaign for president. And, well, there were a lot of technical glitches. It didn't go well. Uh, it was one of those type of things where I think he was trying something new. They were launching this on the Twitter space platform, and it just didn't go well. There are a lot of negatives to it in terms of lack of video, and there was, people trying to log in were not able to get into it and things like that. And yeah, it definitely didn't go well. And we're not going to pretend it was great. But at the same time, this is not the failure that I think the media and a lot of political pundits are making it into. Right now, everyone's talking about Ron DeSantis. You have all these articles out there about this. In fact, this morning on my local TV news, where they almost never say anything about conservative candidates, they talked about this. And right now, in a presidential campaign, being that we're about a year and a half out from the actual election, all that matters right now is name recognition. And, so everybody knows President Trump's name, but, Ron DeSantis, a lot of conservatives do know who he is, but a lot of America still needs to learn who this man is. And I don't think this hurts him. It will give him name recognition. Yeah, it wasn't the best. I know in his campaign, they are trying to spin it into some sort of actual positive in terms of claiming that it was just such a popular thing that they overwhelmed the Twitter space platform, and they just they broke the internet, so to speak. They're claiming that they've already raised well over $1 million, and yeah, it didn't go great, but I don't think it was bad. I've heard some other media people pointing out some things about again, the lack of video. He didn't get this great moment out of it, but I think it's also one of those type of things where he was trying something different. His campaign saw this maybe as an opportunity to do something different. And if it went off without a hitch, maybe people would be saying he's brilliant. But I don't think it is the negative that everyone is trying to make it into. So, in light of the technical difficulties experienced by Ron DeSantis in his presidential campaign launch, President Trump was all over it, as one would expect, and just attacking him, and just as we know how he will do that. Now, at this point, I really would like to say I like President Trump a lot. This, me putting this out there isn't saying, I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm a fan of Ron DeSantis and I want to see him do well. I like Ron DeSantis and I like President Trump. And for me, I will be voting for whoever the Republican nominee is for president in 2024. So whether that is President Trump, whether it's Ron DeSantis, whether it's another candidate, the election is about a year and a half away. So a lot can happen between now and then. And that's really one of the things that's, the point to people even putting their name out there. There are some candidates that we've seen in the past that, in both sides too, is that, they don't have a chance at all, but they put their name out there for a number of reasons. One, they put their name out there maybe to get picked up to be part of the president's cabinet. Or they put their name out there to get some name recognition at this point. So they already have the name recognition in 4 years when they are want to run again for president. So that very well could be Ron DeSantis's plan, um, or to be in position to run again in 2028. And that's one thing with President Trump and him being um, the nominee, is that he's a one-term president at this point. He's already done 4 years. He can only do 4 more years. So that is one of the negatives with him getting elected. And it for Republicans, it would definitely be good that they have a lot of good candidates waiting in the wings to run in 2028 if President Trump is the nominee. Um, and that is one of the things that I will say kind of bothers me with President Trump's style. He has that style where he goes out there and he attacks, and he just completely obliterates whoever goes up against him. And in some ways that's a little short-sighted, because now I mean, we don't want to see him damaging potential candidates for 2028. And I think Ron DeSantis, whether you want to say this was a disastrous rollout of his campaign for president, yeah, maybe it was. But you know what? I think if he's not the nominee in 2024, he most definitely would be a nominee in 2028, or at least one of the leading candidates in 2028. So people do, we see this all the time. Ronald Reagan went out there and was trying to get the nomination in 1976 against the sitting Republican president in Gerald Ford. So I mean, I don't see this as the party being split, or Ron DeSantis trying to hurt the party or anything like that. So one other thing I did notice when I was looking through all the different articles on Ron DeSantis and his rollout for his presidential campaign is that the media really, really has been very almost excited over this rollout and how it didn't go well, more so than I would have expected them to. I would have expected them more to just ignore Ron DeSantis, but they really seem to, as you can see, they're obsessing over it. They love it, this whole problem with the rollout. And that makes me think that there's more to it. Quite frankly, I think the media, in many ways, probably feels that um, Ron DeSantis is probably more formidable than President Trump. Hear me out. But one of the things I feel is that, the media, we know how leftist they are. And the media, I think, probably feels emboldened that, because they were able to stop Trump in 2020. They were able, in their minds, okay, we're talking about, these people who live in this bubble. But I think they might feel like, hey, we stopped Trump in 2020. And, on top of that, they're probably already thinking too, is like, we even stopped him in 2022, all of the Trump endorsed candidates, they managed to really, prevent, them from getting elected too. So, maybe they're feeling emboldened. And one of the things that I found when I was looking around was a little article here on NPR that it was just a little thing that jumped out at me that I really thought said it all. And there was this little quote from NPR. It said, "Not exactly the anti-Trump. DeSantis entry should not be confused as part of an anti-Trump or never Trump effort. He's been seen as a more disciplined and calculating version of the former president." Wow. I think that says it all right there. I think the media is definitely afraid of DeSantis, and I felt this way actually about DeSantis right along. He's just as bold and in the face of the media, and just a strong candidate, a strong leader. And on top of that, though, he's more of a I don't want to say politician in a negative sense, but he knows how to work within government. Something that I think President Trump really didn't really figure out until towards the end of his presidency, and which was really too bad that you know he didn't get it figured out. I think he got a lot of bad advice from a lot of your you know Republicans that are all part of the swamp, so to speak. Um, and I think he kind of figured that out, but it was a little too late. But Ron DeSantis will go in there, and he will be the guy that knows how to maneuver and get through all that. And I think the media is afraid of that. So, as I've already said, I like President Trump and I like Ron DeSantis. I think they'd both be great. So this isn't an attack on one or anything like that. Uh, as I just said, President Trump, at least now, if he got reelected, he did have things figured out, in terms of how Washington works and how to maneuver within the presidency, and to get things done. He was figuring it out towards the end. And so I think if he got reelected, I think that would be very entertaining, we'll say. I think you could get your popcorn out and sit back, put your feet up, and watch the show, because he would most certainly be cleaning house, and that really would be exciting to watch. But I think Ron DeSantis would be a great president, and if he's not the nominee in 2024, I think he'd be the front runner in 2028 anyway. But right now we're looking at a year and a half away, so a lot can happen. So I wouldn't write him off for this election either. And that's all I had to say. I guess with everything going on, and all the everyone just talking about Ron DeSantis as like this was it, and might as well give up now. I was really kind of bothered by that. Again, I'm not a fanboy, so to speak. I really like President Trump too, and as I said, I think watching President Trump in a second term would be a lot of fun to watch, but also great for the country. So that said, thanks for listening, and let me get this out. And I really would love to hear from people, see what people think of what I had to say, whether you agree or disagree, or your thoughts as well. So thanks for listening.